Hello, this is Pixel Freak, and today Square Enix has released Final Fantasy Dimensions onto Android. So it's finally here. I hadn't played this game yet because I currently don't have an iOS device, but it seems like a pretty decent game. The real big controversial piece is this game's $20, and that's freaking high. I mean, that's crazy for an Android game. That's the highest game I think that I can think of, that I've seen at least. So Final Fantasy III, which is a 3D game, it is a port from DS, but it's probably graphically a better game than this one is. And that one's $15-16. This one's $20. The difference between the two is that one's a port and this one is a brand new IP, completely new game altogether. I shouldn't say IP, that stands for intellectual property, and Final Fantasy kind of is the intellectual property. So this is just a new game ground up for iOS and Android. I've played about 3 hours of it. But right now, I really can't make a buy or not buy recommendation. Just kind of watch what I have to say and see what I've played. Make up your own mind. I'm going to do a full review in the future. The problem is that there's some game mechanics that I haven't run into. I do have some kind of I like this, I don't like that, and we'll get into that here briefly. But I don't think I have a full view of the game yet, and so I want to wait until I've played a little bit more before I make a final verdict on that. For now, let's get cracking and go ahead and talk about some Final Fantasy Dimensions. So this game is broken up into different chapters, and it starts with a prologue, and in the iOS version, that section's actually free, but then each chapter costs $7 or $8. You can buy the entire game on iOS for $20 as one big chunk, but unfortunately on Android, that's the only way you can buy it. There is no splitting up of the different chunks. So the prologue here kind of gets you used to the game, gives you the base of the story, but the story really looks a lot more involved than your typical JRPG that you've seen on the market so far. This resembles a lot of like a Kimco RPG, just more polished, better graphics, and the translations are much better. The story is much better, the English is much better. Again, not sure if it actually warrants that really premium price tag though. Is it that much better? Hard to say. So the fighting system in this game is pretty typical of a JRPG. Your active bar kind of builds up, and once it's ready, you're ready. And then you get to choose whether you want to do fight or magic or any of your other abilities, run away and defend. And then you kind of proceed to battle against the enemy until one side or the other has won. At the end, you get some experience, you get some gold, and then you're on your merry way. Additionally to the fighting scheme, this game actually has a job system that goes along with it. Now, I actually haven't seen the job system yet, which kind of sucks because I'm 3 hours into it. I would have expected to see the job system. Part of what's holding me back from saying whether or not this is a good game to buy is I really want to get my hands on that job system, get real in depth with it, and check it out, because for Final Fantasy III, that was really the selling point of the game, was that really intense, awesome job system that allowed you to mix and match and make different teams. I'm hoping to see the same thing out of this game. I haven't seen that yet, but I'm looking forward to it because a lot of people have said very good things about it. So one of the interesting things about this game is that it really tries to do very little that's innovative. There's no new tricks up their sleeve here. This is really trying to appeal right at those nostalgic gamers. And I think they've hit the market right, because when you look at who's playing smartphone games, it really boils down to males in about the early 30s to mid 30s, maybe even the late 20s a little bit. Those are the guys that played these Final Fantasy games as kids on the Super Nintendo. So that's really what you can expect. You can expect to find a game that's of the exact same quality as Final Fantasy IV, which was 2 in the US, and 6, which was 3 in the US. Those level of quality in games, in the localization and the music and the graphics, that's what you're going to see. They're not going to bring you something new that's going to be like Final Fantasy 27. That's not what they're trying to do here. They're trying to appeal to you, and they think they can ask a higher price for that. The question you have to ask yourself is, are they right? So my big standout complaint in the first 3 hours of playing the game was the controls, and I think that my complaint is limited to 10-inch tablets. Now the reason for this is because no matter which of the 3 control schemes you use, you're going to have this big kind of button control emblem that's going to show up somewhere on the screen. That emblem is so large and you don't have the ability to change it. It's so big that on a 10-inch screen it takes a lot of movement for your thumb in order to get your character to move one direction or the other, and you accidentally move in the wrong direction very often. So if you're not using a 10-inch tablet, which I'm guessing you're not going to be because they're kind of a fringe item still at this point. You're probably either using a Nexus 7, a Kindle, if you can actually get this game on your device, or you're going to be using a phone. For those devices, you're probably good to go. For a 10-inch device, you're going to find it a little bit clunky, but it's not really a deal breaker. As far as graphics are considered, as I've kind of previously said, this is a very nostalgic experience, and you can expect all through the game to have a lot of motionless sprites that are attacking you with invisibility. That means that there's not actually an animation that's coming to hit you, aside from some spells, that actually shows the damage. You're just going to get some static sprites, and you hit them, and you flash, and they flash, and I guess you actually see the characters swing a sword, but that's about it. Aside from that, the sprites are actually very detailed. They're very pleasing from what I can tell. A lot of the bosses are pretty cool looking from what I've run into, even though I've only hit a few of them. I'm pretty impressed with that aspect of the game because what they were trying to hit was that nostalgic piece, and I think they really hit it. As far as the sound is concerned, I really think they did a very good job of bringing back that nostalgic feeling, but they didn't do so in a 16 or 8-bit fashion. They've brought on full music tracks, so this sounds more like Final Fantasy XII than it does Final Fantasy VI. And I think that's a good thing. Though there is that kind of detachment where you're kind of expecting that low bit type of sound, almost a synthesizer, it's really nice to hear the symphonic different tracks. The only thing that I do have to complain about with the sound is, once in a while in a few different scenes, there were these really weird pauses where there was a silence, where you're reading dialogue and you're kind of expecting that music should be playing at this point, and there just wasn't. Aside from that though, the music's very good, the sound effects are very good. A lot of the sound effects are new takes on old sound effects that really hit that nostalgic nerve. So I think thus far that this game's actually achieving what it's setting out to, at least for me. I really feel like I'm back in the basement playing Final Fantasy, 10 years old, sitting on an old sofa. It's really hit that nerve. What I really like to see is two things. One, I'd like to get a little bit more engrossed in the story, and I think it's moving towards that direction. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it does seem as though the story's going to twist a little bit and be a little bit more interesting than some of the JRPGs that we've seen on Android so far. I'd also like to see some really engaging systems, and from what I've heard, as I said previously, the job system is supposed to be exactly that, but I need to get to it first. And once I do get to it, I have a feeling that my retrospective complaint is going to be that it took too long to get to it. If I'm 3 hours into the game and I haven't seen my first job yet, that's a little bit of a problem. Aside from that, I'm willing to look past those things, and I will be making a final verdict when I do my next video on this in about a week or so. So until then, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, this has been Pixel Freak.